Good morning, students. Let us continue the story The Gift of Magi by O. Henry. At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made, and the frying pan was on the back of the stove hot and ready to cook the chops. 7 o'clock, the time that of the return of Jim. At this time, coffee was ready and a frying pan was put on a stove. It was hot, it was ready to make chops. Jim was never late. Jim was always punctual, he was never late. Della doubled the fold chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. After doing such activities in the kitchen, Della folded the fob chain in her hand and she sat on the corner of the table, particularly near the door, a particular door from where Jim always entered. Then she heard his step on the stairway down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. As she was sitting there, she heard the sound of the footsteps of Jim, and she was a bit nervous for a moment. She had a habit of saying little silent prayers about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered, "Please God, make him think I am still pretty." She was having a habit. She used to pray for almost every little thing during day, and the same thing she did now. She prayed in a very slow voice, addresses to the God, "Please God, make him think I am still pretty. As I have sold my hair and Jim, after coming, when he will look at me, his attitude towards me should not change. Make him think I am still beautiful, still pretty." The door opened and Jim stepped in and closed it. Door opened, Jim entered, and after entering, he closed the door. He looked thin and very serious. He looked very tired and serious. Poor fellow. He was only 22 and to be burdened with a family. A very poor person, miserable person. The age of the person was just 22 and he was bearing the burden of the entire family. He needed a new overcoat and he was without gloves. Such things were missing. He also required a new overcoat. He also required gloves. Jim stopped inside the door, as immovable as a setter at the scent of a quail. Jim stopped there inside the door, without any movement, immovable, as a setter, as a dog becomes still and calm with the smell of a prey. In the likewise manner, he was standing there. His eyes were fixed on Della, and there was an expression in them that she could not read. He was looking constantly at the face of the Della, and there were strange expressions Della could not understand. And it terrified her. This peculiar expression made Della frightened. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. Such were the things, such were the expressions, such were the reactions Della had thought, and she was prepared for them, such as anger, surprise, disapproval, horror, such sentiments. But the impression, the expression of Jim was quite different from these sentiments. He simply stared at her fixedly with that peculiar expression on his face. He simply kept on looking at Della with fixed eyes. Still, there was that strange expression on his face. Della wriggled off the table and went for him. Della stood up, turned towards him, approached to him. Jim, darling, she cried, don't look at me that way. Jim, darling, she cried, please do not look at me with such peculiar expressions. I had my hair cut off and sold it because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. This is a thing I have done. I had my hair cut off and sold. The reason was that I could not celebrate Christmas without giving you a present. It will grow out again, you won't mind, will you? My hair will grow again. You should not mind for it. I just had to do it. My hair grew awfully fast. This was my compulsion. I had to do this. My hair, they grow rapidly, fast. Say Merry Christmas. Okay, we should wish to each other Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. Jim, and let us be happy. Don't look at me with strange glances. Be happy. You don't know what a nice gift I have got for you. You just cannot imagine. You just cannot think what a nice present I have purchased for you. You have cut off your hair? Asked Jim laboriously. Very diligently, he asks Della, have you cut your hair? As if he had not arrived at that patent fact yet, even after the hardest mental labor. As if he just could not tolerate it, could not believe it. By using all the mental power, he could not believe that Della had cut off her hair and sold them. Cut it off and sold it, said Della. Yes, exactly. I have cut my hair off and I have sold them. Don't you like me just as well anyhow? I am without my hair, aren't it? Don't you love me without my hair? Jim looked about the room curiously. Jim started searching here in the room, looked about the room in a very curious manner. You say your hair is gone, he said with an air almost idiocy. You said that your hair is gone. He said this sentence with an expression of a mentally deficient person. You needn't look for it, said Della. It is sold. I tell you, sold and gone too. She says that you need not search here now. It is sold. I have sold the hair. I have already told you. Sold and gone. It is Christmas Eve, boy. Be good to me, for it went for you. Today it is Christmas evening. You should be good to me. Whatever I have done, I did it for you. Maybe the hairs of my head were numbered, she went on with a sudden serious sweetness, but nobody could ever count my love for you. She says that maybe it is possible that my hair could be counted, but nobody can measure the depth of love for you in my heart. Shall I put the chops on, Jim? If you permit, shall I serve the chops to you? Mark it here. Thank you very much.